And just like that, we have instant color. Today, we're going to add some color to our back porch by planting these really nice annuals in these urns that we found last year from Aldi. I have 2 of them, and the thing that I like most about them is they are lightweight. Of course, they are faux, but being that they are lightweight means that I can move them around easily, and also I can run drip easily into each one of these containers, which I did last year for sure. And that's the first thing that I need to do this year. I have my drip irrigation line even before I get planting, and I'm going to run it through a bottom notch that I had placed in this last year. I have a little notch right here that I had drilled in. So I'm just going to really easily, before I get started, take this and feed it through there. And then once it's fed through on the bottom, then I just feed it through again through another hole that I had drilled in addition to the main drain hole. And then the drip line comes out the top, and then I can add my drip irrigation once I fill this with the soil. But the great thing about that is it's tucked away, it keeps it in place, so you want to make sure that you have plenty of drainage so that these beautiful annuals don't get choked out. All right, so now we're ready to add the soil and get to planting. But before we do, and I get ahead of myself, I want to talk about these really nice annuals. The first one here being this really pretty double up pink begonia. We've grown the Surefire begonias before, but this year we're going to try this one. It's a little bit different. I love the tight and compact growth habit of this plant, even in its can. The Surefire begonias are a little bit more airy, a little bit more open, free forms, but this one is showing that it is just like branching out from the bottom as with the top, and you have those beautiful blooms on each one of the stems, which it says that these grow between 18 to 20 inches tall, and I think they're going to be really pretty in here. I'm going to plant them towards the back, both of these, and then they can grow together and create kind of a height towards the back and maybe fill in. And then as a spiller, because I'm going to use that as my thriller, which is the top portion, I'm going to plant these beautiful double yellow Superbells, which we have all throughout our garden, and I'm going to plant those in front here, and those will just spill over the side, so you'll have the height of the begonias and the beautiful spilling nature of the double Superbells in the front. And I think those 2 colors, in addition to what we have already growing in our backyard, pinks, lavenders, purples, and yellows, I think it's going to look really nice and keep things cohesive for sure. So these are going to, I'm sure, do well all season. I actually overwintered those in their cans, so they are way overdue. And let's get to planting, and I'll show you the process, and I'm sure they're going to look beautiful, and I'll show you what they look like once we get them in their spot over by the back porch. And it's going to be a definite upgrade to a place where it's a little bit plain right now. So here we go, let's get started. So in order to make sure that these have enough nutrients to last them in the container, since we always talk about how containers can leach out the nutrients that these annuals need, I'm going to layer their food nutrition source by first putting in some of this really nice moisture control Miracle-Gro at the very bottom. And then on top of this, I'm going to add some land and sea compost from Epsoma, which is organic. And just by adding compost in here, it really will hopefully give this container lasting nutrients so that we can have a beautiful show of color all throughout until the fall. All right, so I'm going to layer some of that in there, which is probably about 1/4 of the way up. Then I'm going to go back to the moisture control soil and add more of that in there. And now we're going to add some organic Epsoma biotone fertilizer, which is a great starter fertilizer anytime you're planting things in the ground, in the landscape, in containers. It is wonderful, and it's slow release, so you're not going to burn the roots by doing that. And then some of this slow release fertilizer from Proven Winners. And that's great too, because it's heat activated. So in the heat of the summer or in the spring, if these plants need that extra nutrition, it'll release it right into the root systems, which will be fantastic. All right, a little bit more of this land and sea. More of this. All right. And add a little bit more of the rest of this. I'm almost out. All right. All right, look at that plant. It is super healthy and just full of beautiful blooms. I'll give you a close-up of what that looks like. Now, last year I planted one surefire begonia in here, and I felt that it was a little bit thin. It looked beautiful, but it could have used a little bit more substantial weight in there for sure. And so I'm going to put 2 of these in here, and hopefully that will do the trick to make these look full right from the start. And there are earthworms in there, which is fantastic. So that's just going to add to the health of the soil for sure. I'm going to come around the front and pop the Superbells right in there. And it makes sense to put the flat side in the back next to the begonias and let the front side hang over a bit. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to gingerly put this in here like that. And just like that, we have instant color. Now on to the next one. They're all planted up, and I'm so excited, you guys, because they are doing exactly what I want them to do, which is to give us some beautiful color, interest, and also soften some of the hardscape from this porch here and this set of stairs, which otherwise would look really plain. And I think having them flank either side gives us some interest as people come into this part of our yard. They look fantastic. In fact, I've let them grow for about 2 weeks before I filmed the end part of this video because I wanted you to see what they were capable of doing in just 2.5 short weeks. And I know they're going to be amazing throughout the summer, but just in 2 short weeks, they've really taken off, especially the begonias. They've started to really branch and shoot out those blooms. Those double pink blooms look absolutely beautiful. It's just covered with blooms and even more buds coming from the center. And this really nice soft pink color looks fantastic with the double yellow Superbells that are just to, I think they're just about to set off even more growth. I can see them branching even more, and pretty soon, before you know it, we're going to have that beautiful color here with that spilling yellow effect, which it's kind of cohesive with what we have going in our yard now. We have a lot of different things going, but we do have a lot of pink and a lot of yellow this year, and I'm really excited to include those 2 colors at the back porch here. Now, the care that I've done over these past couple weeks is really simple. I've just fertilized them a little bit once every week with some water soluble. I've let that drip irrigation system do its job, and you can't even tell that they are hooked up to drip. And that's one of my favorite things about these faux containers. And I know there's a lot of opinions out there whether or not we should have faux containers in our yard because, you know, sometimes they're considered to be cheap looking, but I really don't mind, especially with things spilling over. You won't even see it too much anyways because it'll pretty much be covered. But I think the best part about that is I can run that drip irrigation through the bottom and then in the middle, and it keeps it really nice and hidden from anyone to see, and I don't have any of those tubings hanging over the sides to get pulled out either by our dog or by anything else that might be running around the sides of our containers here, because we do have things that run around at night back here. We do have some wildlife, so I want to make sure that it stays in its spot for sure. Plus, they are relatively inexpensive, and I can move them if I need to. They're not very heavy, and plenty of things get very heavy and difficult to move around the yard, especially our larger containers, but these keep it manageable for us. So it's going to be great to see how these grow over time. I will definitely keep you guys updated. I've had to take care of just a little bit of powdery mildew on one of these, just ever so slightly, because we've had a lot of overcast days. Then it dries out, then it gets moist again, then dries out. And so I've used a little bit of RoseRx and hit that really quickly right here. But other than that, it's been pretty easy. They've been growing beautifully and no mildew since I've sprayed those, so I think they're going to be just fine. But thank you so much for being here today with us as I planted up these beautiful arrangements, and it's definitely something that you can do in your space. And if you don't have a lot of space in the yard, in the landscape, then you can always definitely plant containers, and it's great to get those ideas. I know I do all the time online. So you guys have a great day, and we hope to see you very soon. Until next time, everybody, happy gardening. Bye-bye now.